right, welcome back. So it's early August 64, and this could be a really critical turn of the game. We're going to basically try to evacuate um, the regions north of Richmond, um, and reinforce Atlanta, and hopefully hold the Alabama river line. So there's a lot really depending on this turn. Um, we did lose here in Fredericksburg, but we have just enough rail um, to we have just enough control to still be able to rail out of here. So we're going to try to do that and send these guys to Richmond. Um, railroad is at a basically at a premium, so we aren't able to move all of Rhodes Corps out, but we will send Rhodes Corps down to man the Petersburg trenches. And we're actually going to drop Ewell's force in the city itself since they're so weak currently. Longstreet will march overland and then march through Burkeville, which we really need to be able to hold since it produces 89 supply as a plantation. And we'll march into Petersburg. Stewart will basically march down down and through as well. And what else happens? We're going to send Lee to take over the position here with where Hill is holding. And I'm actually going to put these guys back in there, so hopefully they won't get completely crushed, but we will see what of course we will see what happens. But the general idea is basically we're going to destroy all the railroads up here that we can, and the rest of the forces will make a southern kind of maneuver to reinforce Richmond, Manchester, Petersburg, and then Burkeville. Now, actually, Longstreet's going to march through Burkeville, hopefully bring anyone to battle that in case they do try to take it here from the west. You can see evade combat is not on, and then he'll actually land in Petersburg on day 15 in theory, and then would of course move back to Burkeville the next turn. Now, kind of moving south, we're actually going to have to send our division from Charleston on to reinforce Atlanta. So Hope's going to start to move on down towards Charleston just by marching. Basically, it leaves Charleston basically defenseless for this turn. Mosby will come in and try to burn the depot in Beaufort. Hood stays where he is. We send the forces from Pensacola up to up to Lorraine's Corps, as well as Morgan, who will join Lorraine's Corps as well. And French's division joins Johnston here in Atlanta, and in theory, Canty's division arrives on day 14. We will, at this point, evacuate Rome, destroy the railroad, destroy the depot, and then begin to march out, with the goal being to get to the rail line at Calhoun, Alabama. So I thought we could try to cause supply issues here, but obviously that is not working at all. We do have Mobile, Alabama in a pretty good situation. Oh, sorry, way too far over. Because we have 3 divisions there, and they're pretty well, really 2.5 divisions, but I think they're pretty well dug in. As usual, we'll try to cause some issues by destroying rail. Farther out in Texas, we're gonna have Waddy attempt to take the town here, which has an arsenal, Jackson, and then we'll march around the Union fleet here to try to get into a more defensible position with Galveston and Houston. Farthest up, you can see this is where we have a partisan unit kind of moving in Missouri. We'll attempt to destroy some rail here in Tennessee. We were successful here last turn. We'll try to destroy Rao here as well. So those are pretty much the big maneuvers. Should be a fairly interesting turn. I'm kind of curious to see what will happen. All right, so let's run the turn and see if we are still in business next turn. Okay, so some pretty huge losses. We lost 15 from battles, and we also lost Atlanta. We did get 2 back through national resilience. We also lost 2 through taxes. So let's kind of like focus on the battle. So we were able to successfully evacuate here. They did not. They actually did not assault Fredericksburg. So Fredericksburg is still actually under siege. Most of our forces. Oops, sorry, not sure what happened there, but most of our forces have made it to Richmond. You can see here's sort of like here's what Breckenridge is holding. We do actually still control the town of Petersburg, and some of the military control 19%. They actually destroyed the railroad though, so we are not able to reinforce by railroad. You can see here is Longstreet's Corps. Wow, Stewart's Corps is really not much. There's really not too much left there. Look at that, power of 1. Here is General Ewell's Corps, who actually did not participate in the battle, so that does help us a little bit because these 2 divisions are actually in decent shape at this point, so we might be able to kind of swap them out and hold them. You can see there's a lot of messages, 192. And then I'll show you the battle screens in a minute. Here's how things look in Georgia. Canty's division did not arrive. He was 1 day late, or what didn't it would have taken 1 more day for him to arrive. French's division actually did arrive, but I think that was the one that I assume was coming from South Charleston. So it actually looks like did not participate in the battle. So anyways, Atlanta has fallen and firmly in control, as you can see. Claiborne actually has not arrived yet, but he is 1 day away. We were able to destroy the depot in Rome and the railroad units here. Interestingly, there was actually no attack across the Alabama River, which is sort of what we were expecting. So you can see here's how it currently looks there. All right, so let's kind of look at the battles in detail and see what happened. Filter out everything else, and let's kind of focus on the battles. We did have a supply unit captured or destroyed in Fredericksburg. San Antonio is under siege. So Rhodes Corps arrived, or basically, Rhodes Corps basically arrived on day 4 via rail. Henry Heath is recovering from injuries. Rhodes is recovering. Mahone is recovering. Pickett is recovering. So it doesn't look like we had any of their generals killed. But here is how it looks. Lee did march the sound of gun with the Petersburg force and took control. More than 2 to 1 casualties lost. Just huge differences in. I mean, really, you almost don't have any artillery really compared to what the Union has. Clear weather with 365 guns. Yeah, not a pretty outcome by any stretch of the imagination. Here's what happened in Atlanta. Johnson actually did a decent job out here. Well, not really actually. So 14,000 casualties, only Sherman's 8. Sherman just completely dominated. Obviously, our strategy of having Claiborne hold up here and forcing the Union to go around through the mountains was a resounding failure. They just didn't have any supply problems at all, but with pushing supply through the mountains. couple small battles out here. Let's kind of just skip over those and look at the next big one, which is the one on day 14. Now this one's interesting because so Longstreet actually did arrive um, and had pretty fresh divisions really, but even Longstreet was not able to do much. Don't. It's interesting that they came in here at an offensive posture, and they looks like they actually switched to. I thought they switched to a defensive posture later on. Um, so that's a don't not really sure I fully understand that. Maybe we were able to gain back the military control, and now we can hold defensive posture. But Longstreet was definitely in a defensive posture. As well as Anderson's division and the artillery division in decent shape. Everything else, including what's left of Alexander's division, is pretty much gone, as are these two divisions. Like I said, we do have Ewell's two divisions and that have recovered, so we still might be able to hold Petersburg here, and yeah, it's possible. Um, we have some other brigades ready here, so we'll have to like basically reform the line as best as we can. Of course, looking here, there's really not too much left of these two divisions either. Those are the big highlights. You can see if we had any success destroying rail. We're not successful there. We're not successful there. So not really seeing too much success. It's like we did the garrison appear here, and it's under siege now. So yeah, so a lot to think about. The game, as long as we're able to hold Richmond for the moment, we can still hold the game open, or at least keep the game going. One thing we do see here is that basically these forces are pretty close to surrounded, and Richmond has some supply, 757, but that's really not a huge amount of supply even. So that is also something to consider. I will show you one more thing before ending it. We can actually free the slaves, and actually let the slaves as soldiers. So it's kind of gotten the point in the game where the Confederate Congress authorized the enlistment of slaves. So the general idea was that slaves would, this is like very, very basic, but slaves would fight with their masters, and then they would gain their freedom at the end. I feel like this is a little early, though. I thought that actually happened in January or February of '65, and not at this point. But anyways, in the game here, it has appeared. We made a number of decisions. We did no pay for volunteers. We did war bonds, taxes, as well, and we printed money. So we have plenty of money now. You can see we have 2,000. We actually have 500 conscripts. So we will basically do a big recruitment push this turn. Well, of course, actually, you have to wait to see if that's we can actually get those new conscripts formed up in time to really do anything. Of course, we will definitely need some of them immediately for just replacements. As you can see, we have huge replacement losses that we'll need to deal with. All right, so there's definitely a lot to think about 200 messages here, and I will see you next time.